Today I'm going to show you the best Psylocke action figure that you've never seen before. And boy, is it a good one. But to get there, we first need to have this Well-Works generic base body, and secondly, we need a lot of talent. And that is where Figure Page comes into play. Now, Figure Page is over on Instagram, so please be sure to click the link down in the description, give him a follow, let him know that you loved what he's making over there. He's got several things, one of the best looking custom Venom figures as well. Anyway, this is about Psylocke, and we're gonna talk about how we get to this point, because some of you may be familiar with the accessories that are kind of floating around here. And that is because we have this Hasbro version of Psylocke, and then we have this Mafex version. You'll notice the band and the swords. So let's start by looking at this base body figure, and some of you may actually recognize this figure as being used for not only this Chun-Li, or as they called her, Quin-Li, from who is this? X-Kokan or something? Zhao Kokan? This base body is essentially the same as this Quin-Li. However, it is specifically the Cammy version, and you'll see that now. And the Cammy version fully painted option is available to pre-order right now. Of course, I'll have a link to get that down in the description as well. The difference being obviously that, like, you know, this is just a generic body for customs, such as what we're looking at today. And you'll see that really not a lot is changed from the body itself. There are alternate pieces that you can swap out, like the chest, the hands, the feet to shoe kind of thing. These are coming from the Hasbro figure, so we'll kind of go over all that. Obviously, in the world of 3D printing, a lot of us are familiar with things like head sculpts, but we are in a place where, you know, feet, shoes, boots, things like that can come from that audience as well. That group of creators. But the head sculpt is the 3D printed part. Everything else is really just a lot of paint work, and like I said earlier, talent, and then we're just taking like a mix and match of all of the incredible effects that come from previous figures. As far as the accessories that come with this figure, by default, they're kind of out already. So you get these open palm hands, you get these gripping hands, and then you get these flat hands, which these are perfectly the hands that Psylocke needs, which is great. And then you get a bunch of replacement parts in case things start to break or whatever. You get this, which is used to adjust eyeballs. So how do you adjust eyes on a figure that has no paint? Well, you paint them, obviously. And then you get this swappable upper body part. And this part is a little extreme out of the box, but you have to do a little sanding and then a lot of painting, and then that's how you get to this. And I mean, good God, it's just so good. So this is the alternate part that we were looking at, and then it's a little bit much. This is like, what am I thinking of? This is more like Dead or Alive fighting game, and that's not what this is. This is really based on an amalgamation, I guess you could say, of Psylocke things. This is kind of based on a lot of versions of Psylocke molded down into one. It's very comic-like, but it's kind of closest to doing the video game style that MVC fans, I think, are looking for, as you can see. I'm stupid. But these figures, by default, are fantastic. And when we had the Quin-Li version, it was easily the best version of a Chun-Li we've ever had. And I really hope and wish and need somebody to make the alternate, like her original Street Fighter 2 costume option, because this is like a very specific version, obviously. So you want the classic look, you don't really have that right now. So articulation is one of the best things about these base bodies. So that's what makes such a great Chun-Li, but they do things like, you know, figuring out how the hair can articulate for these figures so that they can still like look up and do different poses. So a lot of exaggerated stuff here with the bangs right out of Street Fighter, but the whole base body is like phenomenal for articulation. So you have this amazing neck articulation, which goes way beyond really any other figures I think that are out there. You got some great overall head articulation. The shoulders, perfect. You got these ball joints that can look a little weird. Sometimes that pops into a position on this Chun-Li that looks goofy, but that's just you need to take a few seconds and kind of adjust everything because it really is worth it at the end of the day to get the extra range. The bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, standard ball pegs for the wrists, and then the body and the upper and lower body is where things really start to shine for articulation. Like the range is honestly next level. This is what we need to see from brands like SH Figuarts, Mafex. I mean, Hasbro, God, that would be a dream one day if they went this hard into articulation. I mean, look, there's thigh cuts, things that Hasbro does already, but it's gonna take a lot of commitment from them to do things like this. Like these knees are much cleaner than what Hasbro can do, right? Like it's such a world of difference, not only visually, but in the range as well. I mean, look, there really aren't many figures out there that can get into, that you can like push into a ball shape. So that's just like proof that these are some of the best for articulation. So let's get on to the Psylocke and look at the incredible work that Figure Page has done here. So we have that Jim Lee style with the paint on the face thanks to this black ink around the lips, which is something that the Mafex figures really need. Especially like Jubilee and Rogue, they're really missing that, and that is something that is kind of iconic of his art style. All of the wash through the hair give it that depth, really nicely done. So he prints out these sculpts. He's got a couple extra head sculpts of both of these. So if you're wanting the neutral head, again, excellent paint work, or you want the angry face, you can hit them up right now before they're gone. They are just the printed products, not painted, but pay him a little extra money. Maybe he can paint some of these for you. The body work, I mean, again, it's mostly paint, and that's like, thank goodness for the design of this character, because you don't need to sculpt out new things. All she needed was the swap out from the feet to the boot kind of look, and then from there it was this belt piece, which comes from the Mafex figure, and then of course it's repainted. So all of that, we have the painted hands, we have the painted parts, the heads, the swapped out sections, but this is 90% the figure as it was with the new head, and then just a lot of paint work. And this is just spectacular. This really has added a lot of depth to this, like adding the shadow parts into the boots and the wraps and stuff on the legs and the arms. It really does give it that depth and that comic feel, like all the shadow work, which is really nice because a lot of times you don't get that. I mean, two prime examples of it. You kind of get it from Mafex because they use this shiny metal paint, which creates shadows and highlights, but you know, this is just purple top to bottom. So now you have very much the comic colors and the depth in the joints and the bodies and the muscles and stuff. So let's talk about articulation. So now that we have this figure base, you're now able to have poses for a Psylocke that you've never been able to get before. We can obviously swap out hands, swap out effect pieces, and give her those comic accurate poses. How can you not love this thing? This is exactly what I think Psylocke fans are looking for in a figure. Not only because we're talking Marvel, like X-Men, like highly articulated, crazy poses. We're talking about video games and video game poses, but accuracy is also a huge thing for collectors, and we tend to miss that pretty often. As much as people really like the Hasbro version for the Gamerverse, at the end of the day, the head sculpt doesn't look anything like the game. Plus, it's typical Hasbro stuff, so we have these kind of like mismatched colors, these imperfections and stuff. Like this skin tone up here is like so bad. But it was a pretty solid figure, you know, it's fine. It's not the most accurate thing. And then that's kind of the same thing with the Mafex version. It's a great Psylocke. As far as buying something off the shelf goes, in my opinion, this is the best Psylocke you can get as a collector. It definitely is still missing things. Like Mafex has a problem with pushing things to that Jim Lee accuracy. Again, namely the paint finish with the eyes, the lips and things. Proportion-wise is probably okay, but what a difference this makes. There's something about this blue-red combo with the shadows that just stands out so much more to me and looks way more accurate like a Psylocke. It also reminds me of the old, it's not Children of the Atom. What is that? What game was it? It was the, we just talked about this in the live stream, I already forgot. The old Sega game. The head sculpts are made specifically to work with these joints, so you can just pop things in and out and not have to worry about using tacky stuff. Everything just feels like a real action figure. And with all the custom options out there for head sculpts, I mean, this is just proof that this base body, with the right talent behind it painting it, can build really anything. I mean, this could become so many different comic characters. And if you want to see more stuff from Figure Page, then follow his Instagram, hit him up, send him a DM, let him know what kind of customs you'd like to see in the future, and see if he's got those head sculpts still available to purchase. And when it comes to scaling, honestly, because these Wellworks bodies are so good, it works really well with your SH Figuarts Cyclops, so if you want to stay in the Gamerverse, or with your Mafex figures, and as we saw, it does really well with the Hasbro line because it's basically the same size. And if you like this custom work and you want to see some more from other creators, be sure to click that video right there. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.